listener, good day to you. Have you taken our survey about attraction and relationship dynamics in the modern world? If the answer is no, have we got a deal for you? For a limited time only, our survey is free. You don't pay us and we don't compensate you at all, but it's only 5 minutes. And the beauty is you're already an intoxicated podcast listener. This is where we're going to reveal the results of the survey. So by participating, you are going to see your opinion in action, making moves and making deals and making things happen. So all you got to do is go to stigmasurvey.org. The survey will take you less than 5 minutes. It is about what you find attractive and how you want a relationship to look. It doesn't matter if you've been in your relationship for 50 years or if you're single, dating, not dating, short-term relationship, if you're 20, if you're 90, none of that matters. We want everybody's opinion. So we hope that you will help us out. When we did the survey through the University of Minnesota that included questions about your sex life, listeners, you took it at an amazing clip. I was shocked at how many people took it. And I don't know why this really easy survey that everyone should have a right off the top of your head opinion, and it'll only take you a couple seconds to take it. Our turnout has been disappointing, to say the least. Sherry, do you have an opinion of why?
I do have an opinion. Well, I think that you've promoted it as quick and easy.
Quick and easy.
And I promoted it as quick and easy. I think they're a little worried what we consider quick and easy, considering our last survey.
You think
that
we'll
was
scare
very
them
detailed.
off?
So I just want to remind you, seriously, it is simple. It is simple. I mean, the only thing I think that's hard about that is you have to really be honest with what you are looking for in a relationship. And it's not even that many questions. It's not deep.
Multiple choice.
It's multiple choice. It's not,
you don't
it's
even
not deep.
Yeah. That's right.
You have to be a little bit aware of yourself or what you would hope to really enjoy in a relationship. That's the goal. What you want or what you would hope to want.
I have an opinion of why the turnout, turnout's not the right word, why the participation rate is lower with this easy survey. We are not backed by a major university this time. I think that's part of it. I think the other part is I think people really wanted to have someone finally listen to the relationship and sexual dysfunction, the intimacy dysfunction in their relationships caused by alcoholism. And that's what the other survey provided. Mm-hmm. Your voice is just as important now. Listen, any data that's about relationships and attraction pre-COVID, you might as well burn that data. That is useless. Because between technology and COVID, this is a different world we live in now. And so we need new information, we need new data. Please help us, please take our survey. And especially if you've got some young adults in your life, you gotta be 18 to take it. But if you've got some young adults in the 18 to 29 range, we could really, really use that input. Because it turns out not a lot of those people listen to the Intoxicated podcast. I don't know why we don't attract that young crowd.
Well,
we're pretty hip.
Yeah.
Maybe because I say words like hip. That's why we're pretty 6'7", whatever the hell that means.
4'1".
That's one too?
That's a new one now.
I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, you gotta follow all the jargon on the IG.
Glad you're here for me. Sherry, our house is for sale. I know listeners are probably thinking,
good Lord, how long that thing has been on sale.
Oh, I was thinking they were thinking, oh, they bought a new house and they're selling that one too? No. It's still the one that was for sale in the spring. For us, having our house for sale really is a lot like just keeping your house constantly clean. And when you mow your yard, you have something else in your yard to weed whack around. The sign. That's the only difference between having our house for sale and having it not for sale.
Also,
being keen negotiators, that is not a skill that has come in handy yet.
Yeah, we haven't worried about that.
No.
The only other thing about having your house for sale and on the market this long is when you do get a little lazy and laxed, of course, that's when you're going to get a fucking showing that shows up that morning of, and they want to be there at 3 hours later, and you're like, shit, and I'm at work.
When you've let
who's going to take the cat?
Crumbs gather, or you haven't made your bed.
Yeah, yep. I think our listeners can tell that I'm a little bitter.
Well, I think our listeners know that you're a pessimist, so.
I want to say, listen, don't looky-loo.
Yeah. Serious
feel
buyers
bad.
only.
Well, I feel bad being an asshole, like going around and gathering like information of what people are looking for. Like when we were doing some upgrades in the house, like we were looky-loos, and now I feel like I will never looky-loo at houses again.
Unless you know it's vacant and they don't have to do anything if you come and look at it.
Yeah.
If someone's living there, yeah, stay out of their hair. But your looky-looness is actually what I wanted to talk about. There are 2 other houses very close to us that are in the same price range, same size houses, a lot of similarities. And you came home the other day and you're like, our yard looks like shit compared to this other yard. And I was so mad because I spend a lot of time working on our yard. I manicure the little area around our for sale sign very carefully.
I think I was saying, like I said it as a general term, and then you were so, back against the wall.
I got whiplash. My neck hurts from how fast I whipped my head around to look at you.
Or I got to say, yeah, like they're set with some of their plants going into the next season.
Yeah. I mean, you bailed it out, but at first, when you first said that, I was like, oh my God, I work really hard on that lawn. And for you to say our lawn looks like shit, I mean, I would almost rather have you email all of our neighbors that I have a small penis than to say that our yard looks like shit, because I work on that a lot.
Yeah, well, on this podcast, we've often talked about the divide and conquer. So the division is he does the yard and he sweeps, and then I'm the one that's supposed to take care of all the foliage and flowers and planters.
So you were disappointed in yourself because you didn't yet have mums,
yes,
which is the fall thing.
Because it's not mum time.
Okay, well I noticed you bought some mums and you put them in the planter, but you didn't take them out of the planter container.
I have not had fucking time. I'll do it in the dark. Do you have a headlamp? Oh God, no, that one's packed away. I need a headlamp by the time I get time to do this.
Be out there with your phone flashlight planting mums.
Yeah, one of the kids or the neighbors or train a cat to have my phone flashlight showing up.
Well, considering your shortage of time, I bet you're really excited that we're just having this conversation, this fruitless conversation right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I noticed that when I pulled in today to come and
record
this podcast, that
plant the mums for you.
Oh, I have no doubt you would never. You would probably let them. You'd probably just take them out of the pot and sit them right on top of the dirt without digging a hole to put them in.
They would thrive.
Yeah.
They're surface mums. Specially ordered surface mums.
Floating mums.
So they're survivors, self-survivors. Okay, enough about that. We last week, Sheri, had an awesome guest. Laura Hammock was on the podcast.
That was fun.
Episode 312, Complain Constructively with Laura Hammock, for anyone who missed it. Laura is a mental health professional. She's a therapist and a licensed clinical social worker. And that podcast was so much fun that Laura and us, you and I, communicated afterwards, and we came to a little bit of an agreement/partnership. Laura's going to come on a quarterly basis. She's going to be our new resident mental health professional because you and I are anything but professional. Yes. And she is going to offer her perspective as a therapist on a new segment. Different S word.
Yeah.
A new segment called Ask Laura. Mm-hmm. Very creative.
But not Dr. Laura.
Not to be confused with Ask Dr. Laura.
She's a doctor. We're not saying Dr. Laura.
I don't think she is a doctor.
Okay. Well, we can call her Dr. Laura because she's as smart as a doctor.
She's as smart as a doctor.
She's probably a lot smarter.
She's a non-doctor, as smart as a doctor. Awesome
better than
person.
A doctor.
Better. Much better. So she is going to, be kind of more representative of therapists, whereas you and I are more, peer support and researchers. Curious folks asking the important questions. Well, now you get a chance to ask Laura. All you've got to do to ask Laura a question is email it to me, matt@soberandunashamed.com. Her first quarterly visit will be early November. And so jump on those questions, though. I'm going to take them in the order received, and you will get high priority if you are Johnny on the spot. If you're emailing late October, I'm probably going to, I'm probably going to include your question too. But but not at the top of the show. So if you want to be first in line, please email your question for Laura. So anything you would ask a therapist. She has addiction experience. She is an individual therapist and a couples counselor. So anything that would fall under that umbrella, if you have been saying, God, I need to get myself a therapist, and you haven't gotten on that yet, if you email it to me, believe it or not, it will get answered by a real live therapist.
Yeah, and if you didn't listen to that episode, and you just kind of wanted to hear her evaluate a situation,
yeah,
you would say the last 20 minutes of the podcast.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we kind of did one of her exercises.
Her come to method and worksheet for complaining constructively.
And she was very insightful. Like she could look at our faces and kind of read into what we were trying to say, because I couldn't especially have the words to kind of say what I was trying to get across. And I'm not saying she was filling in, forcing a feeling. She was helping draw out.
She was clarifying. Yeah. She was
filling
great.
In some blanks, helping me draw out exactly what I need. So.
You know what? Let's do this too. So you can email matt@soberandunashamed.com with your questions. You can also post them as comments on our social media, our Instagram or our TikTok. We are Untoxicated, @Untoxicated, believe it or not, is our handle. So you can post it on Instagram or TikTok, your question. Just say, hey, Matt, I don't really care about your opinion. I'm asking this of Dr. Laura. Not Dr. Laura. God damn it. Not Dr. Laura. Asking this of Laura. Question for Laura.
Sorry, I put that in your head.
Yeah. Well, she is a real person, Dr. Laura. So,
yeah.
But our Laura is much nicer to people. So, new segment, Ask Laura. Thanks for your participation. We got a letter. We got an email from a listener that I want to read to our other listeners. Hi, dear Matt and Sheri. I keep listening to the podcast, and you guys are and have been essential to my healing. Listening today, I thought, well, Matt is a talker. I am too. I think we're not so different in that department. And then she made the little smiley face with the colon and the close parentheses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it hit me. He sounds so happy doing this with Sheri, being your talkative, silly, expressive self. And years ago, you thought alcohol was equivalent to happiness, and now you're probably way more joyous than you ever were then. That really made me happy. It's wonderful to hear you both. Hi from Sweden. We are doing well. Alfrida.
Oh, wow.
Alfrida is an awesome person. She and I have corresponded over the years. Mm-hmm. But it was a really nice message to receive, and I see that it's teared you up a little bit.
Well, I just think it's wonderful to think that she can hear in your voice. And I just think about all the times that you would be drinking and you would say, oh, it's the best day of my life, and all this fake shit, and this forced funny and forced happy and forced joy that you used to have.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's completely right.
I think she is too, and the reason I wanted to include this, not only because I wanted to thank her for sharing, and I did ask her permission before I read this, but because when I was in early sobriety, one of the biggest stumbling blocks, and when I say stumble, I mean it caused me to stumble. I was 10 years in active alcoholism, which is the period that I defined it as 10 years because that was the 10 years when I would drink for a while and then be sober for a while, and then drink for a while and then be sober for a while. And the reason I relapsed over and over again was because of the euphoric feeling I would get from alcohol. And I didn't think there was any way anything would ever feel as good as alcohol did. And so after 6 months or 3 months or 9 months of sobriety, I would say, fuck it, I'm going to drink again so I can get that euphoric feeling. And Alfreda's right. It literally took years. Sorry if that's scary to any of our listeners, but it took years to get to the point where I am way more consistently joyful. And what's interesting is the stress in our life hasn't changed.
Actually,
we probably have more stress right now. The aforementioned not selling house is a part of that.
Sandwich generation is what we are, aging parents.
Yep.
Still kids at home or very young adults that still need our attention. So we're like that sandwich.
That's right. Lots of stress, but instead of drinking it away and getting that just kind of spurt of euphoria and then that long downslide of depression that follows. I'm just mostly, I manage the stress okay. Not great, and I'm not the best, but mostly okay and mostly joyful. And she's right. She's absolutely right. And I love doing this with you. That is true too. So I don't know. I've been actually meaning to tell you, Sheri, I don't even publish these. Nobody listens to them. We actually have no audience. I just 1 hour a week, I want to sit here and talk with you and laugh. And so this has all been just a ruse.
This has all just been a ruse.
Alfreda, thank you very much. Thank you for acknowledging what you heard. It means a lot. And if anyone else wants to just send an email, like we are very approachable. And so Matt at soberandunashamed.com. If anyone else wants to reach out and just tell us how you're doing. What are you up to? What's your story? We'd love to hear from you. We have received 3 reactions to the work that we have been doing around always be dating. We did a blog post, which all of our blog posts are now read as podcast episodes as well.
Short, yeah.
So
short.
The title was ABD, and ABD stands for Always Be Dating. The concept is, in relationship, especially men, and there's a whole justification for it. Go back and listen if you're interested, and I hope that you are. The concept is, in order to remain attractive in your relationship with your partner, especially men, we need to mature emotionally, and we need to create an emotionally safe environment. And we need to, the thing that's attractive isn't if we can flex our pectorals. The thing that's attractive is if we create an emotionally safe environment for our partner, if we're good listeners, if we don't scream and yell and rant about various things, if we're really good to our kids, if we're attentive, all of those things. You can get the details about ABD from either our Sober and Unashamed blog or from the podcast episode by that same title. But I've gotten 3 reactions to this concept of emotional maturity, emotional safety, and being in a state of always be dating. There are people that don't understand the concept and don't seem to care to take the time to understand it.
And I'm curious enough and wrestle with what it really means and being really truthful with yourself and taking stock of their behaviors. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it might be that their circumstance is so far removed from this that it's not worth their time to think about. Maybe they're not in a relationship.
Wow.
Maybe they've been in a relationship for 1,000 years and it's, moderately happy and moderately miserable, and they don't have any interest in repairing it, and they just, what's this guy yammering on about it now? So there's people that don't understand. There's people who understand but don't see it as significant. I've reached out to all the people I know that are tangentially addressing this topic. And I've heard back from a couple of them. Jonathan Haidt and Anna Lemke both responded. They are really kind of upper echelon psychologists, psychiatrists, and best-selling authors on topics. And they both said, yeah, I'm picking up what you're laying down. Not sure I'm going to dedicate any more time to this topic than responding to your email. But out of their respect, I have a ton of respect back for them for responding. Mm-hmm. And so the vibe I got was, yeah, I hear you. Not sure how significant that is. And I think I've heard that from readers and listeners as well. Huh, interesting. Okay. You know what it reminds me of, Sheri? When I first got sober and people would ask me how, they'd say, oh, are you in AA? No. You got a great therapist? No. Like, well, what'd you do? And I'd say, well, I read a lot. Bibliotherapy is what that's called. I read a ton of memoir and stuff, more technical medical stuff about addiction. And they went, oh, okay. Well, what else did you do? It was kind of that, yeah, that's interesting, but that's vegetables. Where's the meat and potatoes? Mm-hmm. And so there are people that understand the concept of ABD, but I don't think they've classified it as significant. But the reason I brought this up is there's a third category of people people who say, oh yeah, you want me to always be dating? You want me to be emotionally respectful? You want me to be emotionally mature? You want me to make all of these changes, all of these sacrifices? Well, what changes are women going to make? I think you would call these the scorekeepers. Because I know when you hear people talk about their relationships on our calls within our Echoes of Recovery group, you're like, oh, you're married to a scorekeeper. It's never going to be equal.
No. Well, and I think also, besides them being a scorekeeper, they are not still understanding the emotional damage the drinking did, and that they have to pay it forward. I think it's very, very important for them, to these former drinkers that feel like they don't always need to be dating and that their partner needs to do something. They don't understand the depth and the gravity of the damage that the relationship endured for years. So I think it takes
things like lack of trust, nervous system dysregulation.
You have to rebuild for years.
That's right.
So let me make that clear to the scorekeepers or the people that think, oh, well, they need to keep their side of the street clean. You know what? We fucking kept both sides of the street clean for a long time, and we need some courting.
You go, girl.
I mean, it's very, very frustrating how we've been the one that's carried an emotional burden. We've carried a lot of the responsibilities. A lot of the sacrifices have come from us. We've put up with a lot, and there is no reason. Also, just think about this way. You're not an asshole. And you treat your partner like you're not an asshole. You know what's going to happen? It's going to be natural. If you feel like you've been pushed aside and you've been disregarded, start acting like you want to be important in the life of your partner and start being someone they want to be around.
Yeah.
And it's going to happen naturally.
You know what? I think you're 100% right. I think this transcends alcoholism too, though.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the people from whom I've heard, oh, yeah, well, what changes are women going to make? Don't have alcoholism as part of their story. They just don't understand that the world has evolved and that we are not in Archie Bunker land anymore where the man makes the money and the woman does the chores and takes care of the kids. And she just has to put up with his assholeness because she has no alternative. Women have alternatives now. They're financially secure. They're physically secure. They're educationally secure. Men don't have as much to offer as we used to. So we need to be emotionally secure in order for the relationships to match up anymore. And if you're worried about women making sacrifices, let me just tell you, I know a lot of women. I don't think we want to get into a scorekeeping competition with women as it relates to sacrifice. I know that a lot of men work long hours and they put a lot of money in the checking account. I get that. But it's just it's a false equivalence. It's never going to add up because women are the primary nurturers and the species would have died out a long time ago. If men figured out how to reproduce amongst themselves without women, we'd have been gone a long time ago because women have an instinct to take care of and protect children in a way that men just simply don't.
And just protect the community.
Yeah.
Like being nice to your neighbors when your, husband or alcoholic partner or the one that has that, disease of assholism, is just nasty to neighbors and their community and people at church or the grocery store clerk or the waiter at a restaurant. Like the person that's the partner of that, that asshole, they have been carrying this load forever. Yeah. And they don't need to make the changes. Yeah. They're not the a-hole.
Yeah. Yep. Society's going to continue to advance. I've never been more confident about anything than I am about the fact that history will prove us right here, Sheri. Always be dating. Emotional maturity, emotional safety will become the norm. It's just a matter of whether you want to have a nice, happy, successful relationship now, or if you want to look back on your life with regret and hope that your great grandkids figure this out down the road.
Well,
This is going to happen.
I know you don't want to belabor it, but there's just so many layers to it as well. Like, and I'm sure that a lot of male species are very confused about what it means and what the females want in a relationship now. Just ask them.
Yeah.
Like, do you want me to hold the door for you when we're going in a restaurant? Do you want to split the check? Because you know what? Maybe she picks up the tab, but you still need to hold the door. That's just mutual respect.
Yeah.
To either gender.
Do you want me to flex my pecs, or do you want me to scream about politics on the TV, or do you want me to do neither of those?
Or a sporting event, you know.
Sherry, I got a text this week asking for an episode. So we're going to get to the meat and potatoes now. This has been a bit of a hodgepodge in the intro. I wonder why 20-somethings don't listen to our podcast when I use words like hodgepodge. It's been a bit of a hodgepodge, but let's get to the meat and potatoes. We got a text asking for an episode reminding our listeners that addiction is a disease and to not take the attacks of the alcoholic personally. So let's address that. But I'm not sure I'm going to say what the listener is looking for. I'm not sure I can offer that level of reassurance. This whole idea of the disease model and blame the alcohol, this is something we've been honestly saying for a long time. And I don't think it's quite as cut and dry as I have traditionally thought it to be for the last several years. But before we break it down, let's talk about calling addiction a disease, calling alcoholism a disease, and blaming the alcohol and how that has benefited us. Because I'm not ready to throw the baby out with the bathwater. But I think there's gray area. I don't think it's quite as black and white. So let's talk about how blaming the alcohol has been beneficial to us. Do you want to, I know I'm just throwing this on you. You didn't know we were going here. But do you want to kind of address how blaming the alcohol has helped you?
Yeah, I think that it helped me break away from being mad at Matt. I could be disappointed and hurt and let down by Matt's choices to choose the alcohol, but when it was in his system and it was hijacking your brain, I had to, it allowed me to really think about, I'm only mad at the alcohol and how it's taken my husband. He has a disease. It's hijacked his brain. I'm going to blame the alcohol. Those are things he does when he's drunk. Those are things he does when he's drinking. And it helps me actually not, honestly, I think in some ways, it helped me not walk out the door.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say, like, we, early on in our podcast, when we were talking with Anna and Mitchell from We Are Recovery, I had always had a third person that was the drunk Matt. In fact, in college, you even had a nickname from your fraternity brothers when you were drunk.
Frank.
Because he was just said it all the way he wanted it.
Because I was very frank.
Yeah.
To our 20-something listeners, that means obnoxiously
no
obvious. No filter, yeah.
And no filter.
Yeah.
So
that means keeping it 100. I don't think 20-somethings say that.
I think that's high schoolers. But anyhow, so I had always had that concept of there's a third person in the relationship, the drunk Matt, the Frank. And when we spoke with them and met with them, they had mentioned that made it so much easier to transfer that third entity, and that's where I placed the blame, which was the alcohol. That was this alcohol-induced, macerated version of Matt. So that helped me a lot. It also, I think, because early sobriety is not easy. It still sucks. It's still hard. The alcohol is gone, but doesn't mean all the behaviors and the hurt and the pain and the resentments go away.
So even in sobriety, you were able to blame the alcoholic, the third person, the disease, for some of the lingering alcoholic behaviors and the resentments that had not yet been addressed.
And I think that helped me process the resentments a little bit better. I had to get it out. I had to say it. I had to clear it up in my head. I had to do some writing about it. But I could also say, that was the alcohol. That was Frank. That was the guy. That was the thing over there. And I can see my partner, Matt, trying.
Okay, that's great. So it helped you deal with the anger. It also helped me. Blaming the alcohol helped me with shame reduction.
Mm-hmm.
When you are in early sobriety and you start to deal with the reckoning, you start to acknowledge the pileup of damage that your drinking has caused. See, I just did it right there. It's beneficial to not have to just, because listen, the shame of alcoholism, when you're in active alcoholism and you're drinking, you have these little blips of shame. You have, oh, I overdid it. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oh, look at what I did. And then you apologize. Some of us do, not everybody does, but I apologize. And then you lick your wounds for a little while, and then you start to remember how great it feels to drink a beer on the back porch on a sunny Saturday afternoon, and then you're off to the races again. And so you have blips of shame, but the real shame comes when you've dedicated yourself to sobriety and you look at the accumulation, and it can be overwhelming. Mm-hmm. And so to have the disease to blame for all of your awful actions is super helpful, because as we've talked about so many times, the key to successful recovery, individual recovery, is self-confidence. And so if you can shed that shame and feel a level of self-confidence, that's remarkably beneficial. So that's why I say I don't want to just throw out the disease model. I want to include it, but I want to talk about it as not the end-all be-all. Let's talk about a little bit of gray area.
Also, you made a good point when you said in sobriety and you're chugging along and all of a sudden it's just the ideal day and you think about a beer on the back patio. In the past, there have been times where you've been trying to be sober and you would express to me, I really am craving a beer right now.
Yeah.
I would immediately go, God, he's so weak.
Oh,
he doesn't even want this. All he wants is alcohol. And I was so angry and defensive and just mad that you even thought about alcohol when you're trying to save your marriage and your family. So then blaming alcohol made me realize it's not that he's weak. It's that the alcohol is still leaving such a big impact on your brain and your memories.
Yeah.
And it makes you realize how it just is so twisted and toxic and how it controls you.
So true. So true. Okay, so far we have given the listener who texted me exactly what she asked for. We've talked about the benefits of blaming the disease and the disease model in general. When we get done talking about our sponsors, we're going to talk about that gray area that I've kind of alluded to. This podcast is all about working things out, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to work out some, I wouldn't say conflicting opinions, I would say some evolving opinions, because the longer we do this, the more people we meet, the more personal experience we have, the more finely tuned our drunk dar gets and our recovery dar gets. And so I think we're going to talk about evolving perspectives. But first, let's talk about Echoes of Recovery. We are sponsored by Echoes of Recovery, our think tank for the partners and former partners of alcoholics working to understand and create best practices for their own recovery and discovery process, and to be shared with the millions of people experiencing the alcoholism of a partner or another loved one. I have exciting news, Sheri. We have made our book into an audiobook on Audible.
Nice. You mean the Sober Evolution? Evolve into Sobriety and Recover Your Alcoholic Marriage book?
That's the one.
Sorry, I didn't mean to stumble over that.
Yeah, it's only been out for 5 years in paper copy. You'll learn the title soon. Yeah, that's the one. And we are offering a promo code for free access to our audiobook on Audible to the first 10 partners or former partners of alcoholics who go to echoesofrecovery.org and take our 1-minute survey to find out if you belong in Echoes of Recovery. All you have to do is put the word audiobook in the optional share your story part of the survey.
Wait, so let me get this straight. Our listeners who are partners or former partners of alcoholics go to echoesofrecovery.org. They take the 1-minute survey. They type audiobook into the share section. And if they are one of the first 10 to act on this, we will give them a free audio copy of Sober Evolution.
That's exactly right. They can listen for free on Audible. If you are the partner or former partner of an alcoholic, what do you have to lose? You can find out if you belong in Echoes of Recovery if you jump at this offer, and you can receive a free book as well. Please go to echoesofrecovery.org. We are sponsored by SoberLink. SoberLink is the premier remote alcohol monitoring system combining cutting-edge technology with compassionate design to support accountability in recovery and family law. I once heard a psychologist, Sheri, say that the hardest part of our morning workout is lacing up our shoes. I think she was right. I think she was so right that I remember that story very well, but I cannot remember her name, so sorry, no attribution. During my workout, I feel a sense of accomplishment as I go along. I get into the rhythm, or even, you know what the 18 to 29-year-olds say, I get into flow. Maybe I have music going, or I'm working something out in my head. Toward the end, I can see the light of completion at the end of the exercise tunnel. And after my workout, I know I have done something good for my body, but more importantly, for my brain. But getting those shoes laced up, getting out of bed, getting off my butt, man, that is hard.
So the first step, and if you're Matt, it's getting your Walkman ready to go to listen to some of that new fangled jazz music that came out in the speakeasies. But so taking the first step, turning intention into action, and that is always the hardest part.
That's why SoberLink's new offer to intoxicated podcast listeners is so exciting. SoberLink is offering motivation to lace up your shoes in a form of encouragement that everyone understands. Cold, hard cash. I know our 18 to 29-year-olds don't know what that is. You can Venmo it though, people. So
SoberLink already offers the best-in-class service and product combination with built-in facial recognition and tamper-proof detection, expert in-house support, email daily, weekly, or monthly reporting that's court admissible in all 50 states and Canada. So unlimited testing days and scheduled testing to build accountability and trust. What more incentive can they offer?
Cold, hard cash. How about $100? That's right. SoberLink wants to help people lace up those sobriety accountability shoes by offering intoxicated podcast listeners a $100 enrollment bonus. There has never been a better time to check out SoberLink.
So this is on top of the fact that SoberLink now allows new customers to pay a monthly service charge as low as $19 a month with a qualifying monitoring plan. So rather than pay a big upfront cost to purchase a device.
That's right, lace up those shoes. Take the super easy first step. Just claim your offer ID for a $100 enrollment bonus. There's no commitment required to claim your offer ID while this promotion lasts, and you can use your $100 enrollment bonus when you are ready to place your order. To claim your offer ID, you will only be asked to provide your name and email address. No personal details, no commitment, and no credit card number. To claim your offer ID for $100 of cold hard enrollment bonus cash, please go to soberlink.com/untoxicated.
Well, at least there was no stupid cat joke this week.
No, this ad read was perfect.
Oh my gosh. Does SoberLink know how they're endorsed by a complete... Do they know? Do they know that you're a complete dork? And they've asked you to endorse
Let's hope they never figure that out. All right, Sheri, blame the alcohol, not the alcoholic. Blame the disease, not the person. For me, that is not black and white anymore. It is useful, but there's definitely some gray area. Mm-hmm. It's common knowledge that the frequency of children of alcoholics that partner with alcoholics is very high. Okay? Mm-hmm. Fair?
Yeah.
I would say that there are two main reasons that we've discovered almost, exclusively. These are the two reasons that we hear from people as far as why the children of alcoholics partner with alcoholics themselves. First of all, you can't swing a stick without hitting one of us drunks. Alcoholics are everywhere. There are millions and millions of us. And so the idea that you are going to form a relationship with somebody and that person's going to end up being an alcoholic, high degree of likelihood that that's just going to happen. Because there's a lot of us. But the other reason is that the children of alcoholics often don't see the red flags of alcoholism the way somebody who grew up in a home away from alcohol does. So they see behaviors that look familiar. Maybe their father behaved in the way that this budding new relationship partner behaves. Mm-hmm. Or maybe their tolerance, this is really sad, but maybe their tolerance for emotional abuse is higher. I would say that you check both of these boxes. You partnered with me because we alcoholics are everywhere, but you also, your father having been an alcoholic and you watched your mother navigate that. She divorced him, but then there was co-parenting that she had to navigate. And there were times when you didn't get to go with your father because he showed up and your mother said, nope, he's drunk. You don't get to go with him. Mm-hmm. So you witnessed enough stuff that when I would drink too much, I'm not saying you liked it, but it wasn't a huge red flag. It didn't appall you and it didn't cause you to say, I'm out.
Right.
Fair?
Fair. So you're saying that there's one program, and it will go unnamed. They like to say that partners that marry alcoholics have a desire to fix somebody. Uh-huh. So they marry to fix. Mm-hmm. Now let me just tell you, I almost had a throwdown.
Oh yeah?
With somebody who said that to me in a building in which was our church, and it was in the basement. That said that to me, who was coming to set up a group meeting. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was total bullshit.
Was it the kind of meeting that is kind of stereotypically taking place in the basement of a church?
Yes.
Okay, well, good thing you don't mention
they were brewing bad. They were brewing bad coffee.
Getting some store-bought cookies out.
Yeah, on a Sunday morning. Yeah. But I always felt like that was just total bullshit. Okay. So I like that we have now figured out, and I feel like most of our people that we have met and worked with, these, you call them case studies, I like to call them humans, that these are reasons why they do it. They don't do it to fix people. No one wants to go in a relationship trying to fix somebody. There's obviously something that you've offered me. Mm-hmm. You weren't just some schmuck that was passed out at the end of the bar and I was like, ooh, I gotta get me some of that.
Yeah.
No, you had a lot to offer. But yes, I missed some red flags. Mm-hmm. Some of the behaviors also, because there was fighting that I saw growing up between my mom and my dad, but also my older sister, her relationship, her marriage was to an alcoholic. So as a teen, I saw them go through issues. So I was more unaware of emotional stability and, a marital good example. Yeah. I guess. Well, it wasn't because I wanted to come and fix you. In fact, I looked at you like, you're gonna this is gonna be different.
Different than what you had seen.
Yeah, you're not one of those losers.
I was a different kind of loser.
You were a loser in the closet. A loser in disguise.
A loser in disguise.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I like that.
But you're not a loser, no. But we're blaming the alcohol.
I was at the time.
But we're blaming the alcohol. We're not blaming the person for the disease of alcoholism. So.
Well, but this, your description, this discussion, herein lies the gray area. Yes, you can wait until the drinker has crossed over into full-blown alcoholism, and you as the partner have dropped your standards for that person so low that you have just accepted it and decided to live with it. You can do that, in which case blaming the alcohol becomes really important as the relationship seeks sobriety and recovery. But there's a different way, and this is the gray area. What if, rather than wait until the disease takes hold and blame the disease, what if we just demand respect and demand emotional safety from the beginning? This ties back into what I was saying about ABD, always be dating, and emotional safety. If we just established that as a societal cultural norm, then we wouldn't have to blame the disease. We would just kick alcoholics to the curb from the beginning and force their hand. And I want to talk a little bit more about what I mean by force their hand. And I don't want to be mistaken for putting the onus of sobriety and recovery on the loved one. It is not your job, to, like you said, fix people, Sheri. It's also not your job to wake them up to the seriousness of their drinking, but it can be your job to protect yourself. And I want to get to that in a minute. But first, I want to give an example of what it means to kind of miss the red flags. Because it's not like, Sheri, I drove the car into the bridge embankment and then I took all our money and I gambled it away and, I slept with a prostitute and I just wanted to let you know, and you missed all those red flags. The red flags are much more subtle in a high-functioning alcoholic relationship. So here's a great example. I think a great example. You'll remember this because I know you still have resentment over it. We owned a whole grain bread bakery for 15 years, and the two big holidays for us were Thanksgiving and Christmas, and the weeks leading up to each of those holidays were uber stressful, long hours, really hard decisions that we were always wrong no matter what we decided. I mean, that's just the nature of a business that's seasonal like that.
And
highly perishable product, right? So there was a Christmas Eve. I would say of the 15 years, I think 14 of the 15 years on Christmas Eve, I closed the bakery. A huge component of that was my OCD. I needed to lock everything up and have everything put away or I wouldn't be able to enjoy Christmas. But there was one Christmas Eve, I don't remember why, but you were going to be there last and you were going to lock up and you were supposed to bring like a box of bread home that was a donation, and we don't need to get into those details about what it was. But with all the stress and the amped upness of the holiday, you forgot to bring the box of bread home. Mm-hmm. And you got here, my parents were visiting for the holiday, and I was in the backyard with my parents, and you came in, and like I immediately launched at you and was like, "Where's the bread?" And you're like, "Oh, I forgot. I can go back." I'm like, "No, I'll get it. I'll go get it." God, why can't you ever do anything right? I don't think I said those words, but my eyes said those words, and my exasperation said those words. Mm-hmm. Am I recalling this correctly? Does this sound accurate?
Yeah, and by the way, listeners, he had already been drinking.
No way.
Yeah, way.
On Christmas Eve, when my work responsibility
during
was done?
the daytime. Yeah.
Hard to believe.
Before we were going to go to church service.
Yeah.
Christmas Eve church service. Yeah. He had a few bevies.
Yeah. So that's what I mean about red flags missed. Like in front of my parents. And that was one of the reasons this story sticks with me, is because my mother still brings it up once in a while. And my parents, they don't recount the things that they saw. That's just not their comfort zone. But I have heard about this one a couple of times because I was like, to use a Midwestern phrase that the 18 to 29-year-olds like so much, I showed my ass, right? Mm-hmm. I was disrespectful to you. I was frustrated in a way that at the time I thought I was taking it out on you and I was justified. But really, whenever you're doing something that you feel justified in a scenario like that, you just make yourself look like an asshole. Mm-hmm. Is that all fair? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the kind of red flag where, it would have been awesome if you and I had a different background and you had said, "You will not talk to me that way. That is disrespectful." And, and hopefully by the time we were as deeply into our marriage and relationship as we were, I wouldn't even have thought of talking to you that way. But because you had tolerated it for so long, and because I had chipped away at you with little examples of that over and over, that kind of went under the radar and just went into the huge pile of resentment that had to be addressed later.
Well, and I remember, he just did this in front of his parents.
Yeah.
How can I, make this go away? I just won't respond or react.
Oh, yeah. He totally painted you in a corner. Because you didn't want it to be on right in front of my parents and have us be full on fighting. So you just had to swallow it. Mm-hmm. Ugh, so despicable on my part. Mm-hmm. But this does fall into this category of gray area. If only our relationship had been one of always be dating, of emotional safety, of emotional maturity from the outset up to and through that day, then there's no way I would have spoken like that to you and embarrassed myself and made it clear to my parents that our relationship had some dysfunction to it. Because even though you swallowed it, it was obvious that was not good.
Mm-hmm.
Robin Williams has one of my favorite definitions of alcoholism. The late, great Robin Williams. He said that with alcoholism, behavior deteriorates faster than our ability to lower our standards. And I'm here to say, you know who else has to be really adept at lowering their standards when they're in a relationship with an alcoholic?
Partners.
That's the partners, yeah. What if they didn't? What if they demanded respect like employers? I think this is a really important contrast, Sheri, because most of us high-functioning alcoholics have demanding jobs. And most of us, meet and exceed expectations at work. We suck up appropriately to the right people. We are respectful. We, take stress and manage it appropriately and don't take it out on our coworkers. Most of us, right? Mm-hmm. So we've got the skills. We just take our most important relationship, the one with our partner, and we dump on them, which is so counterintuitive. It's so stupid. But we prove by keeping our jobs and by getting promotions and by being financially successful, we prove that we know how to behave if we have to.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to interject.
Please.
And I'm going to put a plug in.
Okay.
For the new survey that we're asking about.
Yes.
Is because I feel like there is a shift in what is a relationship expectation. Like we discussed earlier, like people do not need to be in a relationship. Men do not need to protect women, provide for women, blah, blah, blah. This is a really important reason why it's great if we get a lot of responses and a lot of these younger
generation?
I was good at, category is not the word, but demographic. Because I think that our younger people are changing, and I think young men are understanding this, and I think young women are expecting this, and I think that it has that, ability to change what a relationship is like going forward, with demanding some of this and kind of like having a contract. But then I think even for our generation, and it's still today, men earn more money than women on the hour in the most cases if they were to do comparative job.
I actually just listened to a podcast on that.
Is it getting better and closed in more?
I don't think it'll ever get better. It's like 77%, 77 cents on the dollar.
Yeah.
But it ties into this because the reason women earn less, it isn't any longer, for the very, very most part, it isn't because of discrimination, right, or breaking employment laws. It's because women prioritize family. And so they will take if you're a lawyer, one lawyer will be willing to get on a plane to go to Japan at the whim of a client with zero notice, because that's what it takes to secure that client. And the other one needs to be able to meet their family responsibilities. And guess which one gets paid more? It doesn't matter, man or woman. Right. Whoever goes to Japan gets paid more, and women prioritize family over in a way that men do not. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know that the pay divide will ever get better unless
all of us demand
we
the
genetically
same.
And conditioningly change. And I don't think
we
should.
Ask our partners to say no to their bosses more, and there's a shift in the mindset of we all have to be equal, and whether you have maternal leave or paternal leave, it doesn't really matter. You're both a parent, and so meaning that. But anyhow,
it's a good topic for another day.
Yeah, I digress. But I just felt like that was why I would really like to see the demographic, that younger demographic, fill out this.
I would too.
Survey and see where we're changing.
It is.
And
such
is it
a
something
struggle.
with millennials? Do millennials have relationships like this that are not I guess codependent is a nasty word, but allowing emotional unsafety and being tolerant of emotional abuse.
I think you're exactly right. I think the survey, especially if we get our listeners to help us get survey takers that are in the 18 to 29-year-old category, I think what we're going to learn from that's going to be super interesting. And the reason I say that is I think there is an opportunity for us to learn from the younger generation, and I think that's such an oxymoron. Do you think a boomer has ever admitted to learning something from a millennial ever?
Probably not.
I don't think so. Even when they do, I don't think they admit it. We, of course, Gen X, we are the lost generation or the skipped generation or the ignored, whatever we are. They always talk about millennials and boomers and just ignore us smart hose drinkers in the middle. Latchkey hose drinkers
But
in the middle.
But you know who produced the Gen Zers? Us Gen Xers.
That's right, baby. But yeah, I think I think there's going to be, the survey results will indicate that there's going to be a huge opportunity for, boomers and Gen Xers and millennials to some extent to learn from the 18 to 20 something year olds of today and recognize the importance of emotional safety. So I think you're right. Thanks for putting that plug in. There are red lines in our society that when they get crossed, they are grounds for divorce, they are grounds for jail time. They are acceptable reasons to end a relationship. They are red flags that everybody sees and everyone mutually acknowledges. Not everyone, but, upstanding citizens. Sorry to be so judgmental, but I will be. Physical abuse is one of them.
Mm-hmm.
If a couple gets divorced and you find out there was physical abuse, nobody asks, what happened.
Out longer?
Yeah, nobody, exactly.
Can't you take a punch?
How about, why didn't you clean up your side of the street? None of that shit happens when there's physical abuse. Infidelity is another one. If there's infidelity and let's say that's the man who has the infidelity and the woman divorces, there's no criticism. Gosh, you should have tried harder, or did you exhaust all means, or did you go to a therapist? If there's infidelity, that is a blatant red line and a waving red flag that nobody seems to be able to ignore. I would put into that category hard drugs, I think, and I put hard in quotes because the fact is that when it comes to drug withdrawal, alcohol is the deadliest of all the drugs out there. So more deadly than heroin or crack or meth or whatever.
Unmedicated detox, at-home detox can be fatal.
Can absolutely be fatal, and it can't be for those other drugs.
Physically addicted you are.
So it frustrates me when people talk about hard drugs, but I'll use that term because I think everyone knows, what I'm talking about basically. So if your partner has gone badly down that path, I think that is seen as acceptable grounds, societally acceptable grounds for divorce. But why not emotional abuse? Emotional abuse doesn't fall into that category.
Because sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never hurt me.
Oh,
We were taught that as little kids.
those goddamn boomers.
I remember sometimes just thinking, for one, just hit me so I have a really valid reason.
You thought that about me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But number two, honestly, a bruise, whatever, that won't hurt as bad as the terrible things that have been said.
And
because I can't get those out of my brain.
Mm-hmm.
And that tears at your self-worth.
Yes. And you're not the only one that said that. We've heard that over and over again from our folks in Echoes of Recovery. I wish he had just hit me.
And it made me feel so validated when I heard that. Because I thought, am I just sick? If there was physical violence, then I could leave. And I can hopefully heal from that, but I can't erase that mark on my soul.
Yeah. Well said, Sheri. Well said. So, I hope that if there's any contribution this podcast has to the advancement of society, I hope it's that we are among the voices that are pushing hard for emotional abuse to be recognized as every bit as unacceptable, maybe even more so, but certainly every bit as unacceptable as physical abuse. Abuse is abuse, and there's no place for it in relationships. So back to the gray area that exists before we get to blaming the alcohol, blaming the addiction, blaming the third party. I want to say this, but I want to say this without putting all the onus on you, Sheri, or all the partners. Had I been forced to be 100% respectful and emotionally safe with my family, with you and our kids, one of two things would have happened. I either would have doubled down and drank more and lost my family, or I would have gotten sober a lot sooner. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about that is whether that had happened from the very beginning of our relationship, or if you wait until you cross that invisible line into alcoholism and you make a bunch of people miserable for a bunch of years, it's still the same decision point. Even when I did get sober after 25 years of heavy drinking and 10 years across what I consider across the line into active addiction, the decision point was still either stop drinking or lose your family. That decision point can be made when you're 22 and you're just starting out in your relationship if there is zero tolerance for emotional abuse and a lack of emotional safety. So when you and I first got together, if I had gotten drunk and called you a bitch and you'd have said, that's it, ain't gonna happen, because you had the backing of a culture that believed that was not okay, the backing of a culture that believed that's a red line that's not to be crossed. If that had been the cultural situation, then I've got to think I would have gotten sober when I was 22 instead of when I was, however old I was, 45 or whatever, 42, 30, whatever.
Math is not your strong
and I want to be careful. I want to be careful not to put this on you. I'm not putting it on you. I'm putting it on our culture and our society. If we just looked at this differently, instead of saying, things like, boys will be boys, and we all go through that period where we're blackout drunk and in college, and good thing we survived that. And now what really frustrates me, a lot of the people that are working on the problems created by technology and COVID, of a lack of social interaction, live social interaction in our society now. A lot of those people are saying, we need to get back in the bars, we need to drink more. Oh my God, that's the worst advice ever. There are so many reasons why that is not the solution. Yes, I think we need to go sit on our neighbor's porch and drink iced tea with them, or I don't know, have a barbecue or whatever, but we shouldn't drink more. That's just stupid. But you understand what I'm saying? If culture had backed you and said, hey, that guy, he said he was going to have 2 and he had 9 and they called you a bitch, that is not okay. That guy needs to go to jail. That guy needs to lose his family. That guy needs to lose his driving privileges. I don't know what it is. But if we had some kind of consequences early, then we wouldn't have to get to the point where it's almost all is lost. And so yes, blame the alcohol, blame the disease if you get there. But what if we prevented people from getting there?
Well, and I think that's why it's very important if you are in a relationship and you have children or nieces and nephews that you want to pass the message on about breaking the cycle of alcoholism. Mm-hmm. Because you are going to say, I deserve more than what my partner is offering me.
Yeah.
I deserve to live in, if I want to have an alcohol-free home, I deserve to live in that. I do not deserve to be the person that's pointed at and blamed for their miserable existence. I feel like part of that cultural and societal thing and shift should be ending that cycle of alcoholism and ending that cycle of abuse of any sort in relationships and building up stronger, more confident humans that go into relationships with respect and intent to be respectful to their romantic partners.
Yeah. Sheri, I would argue that during our lifetime, we have seen societal shifts in gender roles, inequality, racial equality. There's still lots of problems. Don't get me wrong. I'm not being Pollyanna. I know that there's lots of problems and arguably currently backsliding problems. I get that. But we have made incredible progress.
Or at least the awareness has been brought up, and we, that it's being talked about, and there's being open, and there's conversations, and there's, like you said, progress towards ending some of this.
That's right. When it comes to cleaning up the societal ills of the past, it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. There are backslidings that happen here and there, but the arc of history is forward leaning. It's positive. I could so many gay rights, women's equality, racial equality, all of these things. If you look at the history from slavery to where we are today, yes, it could get better. Yes, there's still systematic discrimination, and yes, as a white male, I'm not qualified to speak on that, and my opinion doesn't really matter very much. I get that. But progress is being made, and I'm here to tell you, progress is going to be made on emotional safety and considering emotional abuse to be every bit as bad as physical abuse. And you can either get on board now and be a leader, or you can look back on your life and say, gosh, I wish I had. I mean, I think about some of the opinions I had as a 20-year-old, and I'm embarrassed about them, and I'm glad that I've evolved. So you can evolve now, or you can be embarrassed later. I think those are your 2 choices. This is coming. This change is going to happen, and not because little old Matt sitting here in Denver, Colorado said it is, and not because little old Sheri agrees with him. This is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And so be an early adopter, or look back with a little bit of regret. Those are your choices. Listener, thank you for texting that encouragement to address the disease model and the blame the disease and the blame alcohol that we have done for years, and giving us a chance to kind of update and evolve our thinking on it, and to emphasize emotional safety and emotional maturity. Did you hear things today that you relate to? Did this conversation resonate for you? If the answer is yes, then I am sure there is someone in your orbit who could benefit from this conversation too. One of the very best things you can do for your healing is to become part of the solution. Crush the stigma. Participate in the conversation. Maybe you aren't ready to join one of our groups, but that doesn't mean you can't be involved in a meaningful way. All we are asking is this: please share this episode with one person. Copy the link and send a text or email. Put it in your social media. Be bold. Claim that sense of belonging you deserve. Just one share. Thank you for listening to the Untoxicated Podcast. You've got this, and we've got you.